Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Not a cute look. It is not a cute look, but what is a gorgeous look, Brains? Here on the edge, the place where the conversation is what? What is it, Libby? It's pointed.
Hello, Brains.
The guests are sharp and the responses are never dull. Look who's here. Libby Adams.
And April Mahoney.
That's right, from Mexico. She in Mexico. I'm going to talk to her about that because I'm so mad. I'm right here 20 minutes away and I can't even cross the border. You know, it's really, I love it. I go over there for a massage. I go over there to buy some beautiful artwork. The beaches are so nice. The food is authentic, but they won't even accept my passport. They look at me with a side eye. So thank you so much for being here on the edge with me and my brains. I want to talk to you about so many things. You are such a well-rounded woman. You know, you're a trailblazer. You lived all over the world. You travel. You're able to work remotely. And you are the founder of the International Academy of Self-Knowledge. What is that? And what does that look like? Because everybody thinks they're a brain, especially if they're on the edge. But you know what? A lot of people can't self-identify with who they are.
Exactly.
And it's a problem for them right now to try to pivot and figure out who they want to be.
Yep. It all comes down to somebody understanding the basic answer to the question, who are you? And that's why I included self-knowledge in the title of the business, because the curriculum is, who am I? Why am I here? How do I break through the barriers that are preventing me from actualizing my destiny? So yeah, it's all about knowing who you are at the deepest level. At the deepest level. At the end, I'll make available a video that really goes into length about the versions of you and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow. So roll back. Start at the beginning. Who are you, number one, and then who have you evolved into?
Well, I think what the deepest version of who I am is one of my favorite expressions that Wayne Dyer says, I am a spiritual being having a human experience.
Right.
From Long Beach, California, the LBC.
Oh, that's right. I'm from LA, girl, right down the freeway, not too far.
I know you are. We have that in common. And I grew up there. When I was a kid, I lived in Mexico when I was 8, 9, and 10. And so I feel very comfortable in Mexico. And that's why I find myself snowbirding it right now in Mexico City. I've been here since before Thanksgiving.
Do you speak Spanish?
I do speak Spanish. When I taught school in the California public school system for 9 years, I taught middle school Spanish.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about that because, you know, there's a lot of parents now that are homeschooling. Still, we're not completely released from lockdown here in the U.S., and it's been a challenge. What would you say to parents right now to just kind of keep their kids engaged and try to help them find out who they are at an early age?
You know, it's interesting that in the homeschooling curriculum, you get to decide what the curriculum is, right? So it can be included, things like I included with my kids. I didn't homeschool them. I mean, they still went to school, but I schooled them at home. Like I would pay them. I forget how much I paid them, maybe $5 to read Think and Grow Rich. Talked about the law of attraction. Like this was in the 90s because my kids are 38 to 40, 41.
No, you got kids that age?
I do.
Wow, I can't believe it. You look great.
I will be 70 years old in December this year.
Shut the front door.
I've been around for a while.
Wow. Okay, so encourage them with money is what you're saying? Entice them with some money?
Some people call that bribing. I call it reward. You wouldn't go to work for free. Nobody would go to work for free. And, you know, it makes it not just, you know, enticing them with money, but the point of that really was select a curriculum at home of personal development because that's not included in the schools. And I know that because I taught there for 9 years. And in fact, that's actually why I left, April. I had to leave the public schools because what I found is, let's say Johnny comes into my classroom and he takes Spanish for a year, right? Then
Mhm.
Johnny leaves, but he's the same Johnny as he was, but he's a little more Spanish speaking Johnny, but he literally has not transformed as a person. And I was not making the difference that I wanted to in the public schools. So I retired myself and left. And then fast forward to 1989. Interestingly enough, my mom was the school psychologist in the
Oh,
district where I taught. And so she was really into personal development, all that kind of stuff. I was rummaging around in her closet, looking for I don't know what, but I look up to the top shelf, and in this kind of rainbow colored uh, cardboard thing, it said personal power. It was like at the very top shelf. And so I said to my mom, "Hey, what's this?" And she said, "I got that off an infomercial." And she hadn't opened them. They were unwrapped, and it was Tony Robbins' Personal Power cassette tapes
oh,
back
come on.
in '89.
Come on.
So that didn't start my personal development journey, but it amped it up because I'd actually started through my mother's suggestion slash insistence.
Mm.
I took the EST training back in 1974 when I was 24. That was like the OG beginning of personal transformation courses, and I hated that course. Have you heard of that course? The
I've
EST?
heard of it. Yeah, the escorts. Mm.
And then the landmark created kind of a kinder and gentler version of that. And then there was
Cracks
life.
me up though. He's 70 years old and you call it the OG. For you brains that do not speak Ebonics, that means original. Okay, the OG. Okay, but and I really agree with you on that because teach the kids the basics while they're home: reading, writing, spelling, arithmetic. Incorporate them in what you're doing day to day. Show them the stress that you're under, how you deal with clients, interact, because again, they need to be able to have uh, professional and personal development. And you can't get that in a textbook. I was on vacation in Yosemite, and the parents were homeschooling the kids, and they brought the kids and they sat down with the Native American woman, and she taught the history of basket weaving and how sacred it was and how one had to be pure and clean and all these type of things. You don't get that. And you're sitting there with her weaving. Those were life experiences.
Yes.
And that's travel. That makes them a well-rounded, more respected person. Teach
Yes.
them a foreign language. All of
Yes.
it. So now you have moved into training and teaching and coaching adults. Tell us a little bit about what you founded.
Okay, I will. I want to know, can you hear the bell ringing outside my window?
I love it. They're calling our attention.
Speaking of well-rounded experiences, like being in Mexico, we get everybody can experience the street sounds of Mexico City. That is calling everybody to bring out their trash to the trash truck. That's what
Oh,
that.
really? I thought it was the ice cream man, girl. You know I'm from LA. That was that's the ice cream truck.
No, it is not. Okay, so in founding the International Academy of Self Knowledge, like a little bit of the history of that goes back to my mom's closet, right? So I'm in the closet and I say, "What are these?" She said, "Oh, I bought those off an infomercial." I said, "Can I borrow them?" And she said, "Yes." So I listened to them. It was like a 28-day, 30-day program or something like that, a personal power. And it was so empowering that I literally generated the money to go to one of Tony's live seminars called Date with Destiny. And then after that, I went to another one. It was the fire walk where you're walking on
Well,
fire.
I done walked on fire with him too.
Okay, so you know that one. Now, in that particular weekend, he asks for somebody who's usually motivated, but not motivated about a certain thing. And I was going, man, that's me. Because in that year, I had just taken a job as a fundraiser for Oral Lingua School for the Hearing Impaired. And the tuition for those people were like, it was like $40,000 a year. And my job was to raise money
Wow.
to help defray the cost. but I had a fear of asking people for money,
Mm.
which is kind of a problem in a professional fundraiser. So I think I'd only been at the job for maybe a week, and then now I'm at this fire walk, and so I run up and jump on the stage. I slide under, like a wrestler going under into the wrestling ring, and so I was a volunteer, and I'm crying. I said, I'm afraid to ask for money, and people are counting on me, and I don't want to let them down. And in like 5 minutes, of zip zap, some NLP, something that Tony did, which he calls NAC, and that fear was gone. It was gone. Now, in that moment, I realized that instant, or at least at a minimum, quick, 5 minutes, pretty quick transformation is possible. Now, when I was in school, I ended up in education, but I started in psychology because I thought, oh, that would be so interesting. Now, this is like 1967, right? And at that point in time, if you're going to major in psychology, you're going to be a therapist and you're going to listen to people's problems. And when I found that out, plus when I took my first abnormal psych class, I'm like, I am out of this. And I changed my major to education. And so that's how I ended up in education.
But you go a little bit deeper. You teach people the difference between spirituality and religion and how that correlates with self actualization,
Yes.
visualization, and
Yes.
really assessing who you are. Go into
Yeah.
that a little bit for us.
And so what prevents people from being who they are is what I was experiencing that Tony was helping with me. I had a fear of rejection. Right? That's not who we are. We are fearless and powerful, you know, uh, children of the universe, so to speak. And so it's that identity. So we can't identify with these little parts that think we're less than, or we can't do this, or fear of rejection, or any of that stuff. But learning to go inside and discover the invisible nature of ourselves,
Right. Right.
right? Spiritual nature, and it doesn't have anything to do with religion. I have students that are very religious, and I say, you know what, when I work with you, you're going to be living your religion more and then than you are now. And other ones aren't religious at all. They say, I'm not interested in organized religion. I said, and you will define your own spiritual framework of what you believe, or what I call the gospel according to April,
Right.
right?
Hallelujah, sister. Let me lay hands on you. But seriously, religion is a discipline. Religion is a guideline. It's a structure. I always refer to it as my life GPS. But what I'm really going for is the spirituality. I'm going for the ultimate.
Yeah.
I'm going for the destination, not
Yeah.
just the direction.
Yes.
You have to have a personal relationship with whoever your God is. It's
And
not through the pastor, it's not through the associate deacons. It's not that. It's 101, imano imano. But you
mhm.
have to know who you are, and you have to be able to accept the good, the bad, and the indifference.
And it comes down to what I now call spiritual health education.
Wow.
Spiritual health education. And that takes me even farther back in time. In 1984, my ex-husband, who played professional basketball and had a difficult time making the transition back into the what I call the real world, was in rehab in the care unit.
Mm.
And I remember the director said, your husband is the president of the care unit. And I thought, well, isn't that special? He's the president of the care unit, and I'm out here taking care of these kids, paying the bills. Where's my rehab? I'm like, where's my damn rehab?
Right,
Right.
right, right, right.
And do you know what? It took till 2001, but full circle, my ex husband and I created a rehab. He came to me after he was clean and sober. He said, would you help me put together a treatment program so people don't have to go through 13 detoxes and 8 rehabs like I did? And I said, yes, I will. So we put it together, had fabulous results. But then after 2 years, I said, okay, you've got your program, the beds are filled and all that. I said, I'm going to go to India and I'm going to rewrite the curriculum for people who are not addicted to substances, because where's their rehab? That was the question I
Right,
asked in
right. And
1984.
they're addicted to something else. You know,
Well, or if you Google rehab, like what's the purpose? One of the biggest purposes is for people to resolve their issues
Right.
that were causing them to try and escape by using substance over here, right? So one of the reasons we had such great results is because while we were keeping them away from drugs for 28 days, we're working on their issues. That's what I was doing, using the method that I use, spiritual method, right?
Exactly.
And that's in alignment with the 12 steps, the high believing in a higher power and all that. So we use the higher power for problem resolution. But if you think about every person, April, it's like my question was, why does somebody have to be a drug addict to get a good 28-day program? Because everybody's got issues and things from the past that they need cleaning up, independent of substance abuse. So literally, for 20 years, I have been doing a 28-day program, which technically you could call rehab for the non-substance abuser or spiritual rehab. I don't even have a name for it.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
That's a
Mhm.
lot of that's a lot of intake.
Yes.
It's a lot of processing. It's a lot of editing and filtering. It's a lot of mental drain on you. What do you do to rejuvenate yourself? How do you cleanse yourself so that you are a clear conduit? You have space and capacity for yourself, that you don't take on other people's drama. That's like me. I'm a coach, but I only coach 5 people a year, and I only coach them for 5 hours. Girl, I ain't got time to be with 3 months and 6 months. I don't, because it turns into something else. It turns into talk therapy. It turns into girlfriends. It turns into, a whole bunch of other stuff. I need people that are dedicated and ready to do it. And then that way, that still leaves me bandwidth for Mr. Magnificent and my, for the other work that I do, to paint, to do poetry. What do you do to get it off of you?
What's interesting is it doesn't get on me
Wow.
because number one, I screen people to make sure that these people are a good fit and I know they're going to be successful. Then the reason I was teaching school is I wanted to help transform people, right? When I select the right person, and because we have spiritual methodology that's effective, then everybody gets results. And I see them clearing and their negative emotions, and they're changing their beliefs and transforming. That in and of itself is rejuvenating. That's what I thought I was signing up for when I taught school, but now I'm teaching school, but just a whole different curriculum. So it is very uplifting and exciting for me. I work 7 days a week. I don't have to
Wow.
work 7 days a week. I
Well,
want to work 7 days a week. Now, the 28-day program, I'm with them 6 days a week, one on one. And
mm,
that's how I make sure they get their result. Whatever they said they wanted to do, they want to create something, on day 28. And then everybody's got barriers and blocks and some limiting beliefs and negative emotions that they haven't cleaned up from the past. So we clean all that stuff up, move the roadblocks out. So on day 28, they land at their destination. They're happy. I'm happy. I have 100% results with them
wow.
because I'm with them every day. We're course correcting,
Right,
course
right,
correcting.
right, right.
The
Editing,
plane is
filter.
gonna stand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. Okay. But you know what I've seen? Just merely an observation, that people with an addictive personality seem to go from one type of substance to another. Say, for example, they get off cocaine, they go to coffee and cigarettes. Or people that are on, sex, or people that just newly find religion. Girl, now bless you. I want you to be happy with the Lord, but sometimes they will wear you out as if you have never heard about anybody, Buddha, Allah, uh, Jesus. They just run it in the ground. How do people really try to find a balance and level off? Because they're always still chasing that high, Libby.
All right.
Some sort of high. They just don't know how to just be calm.
Here's my deal. Remember, I was the spouse of an addict, and I said, where's my program? So this program is not the addiction program. And my ex-husband is retired from that. He doesn't do that anymore. He's older than I am. But I don't bring people into this program that have specific substance abuse and I work with people that have been on the spiritual path for a while,
Okay.
because people that have been on the path for a while still have higher levels and things they need to work. That's my demographic. They've been on the spiritual path a while, but they still have things going on. Like maybe they're worried at night and they're saying, if I'm a spiritual person, why am I worried about, losing my job? Or why am I worried about, not being able to beat this cancer or whatever people wake up, worried about. So then that's where I catch them. It's like they believe in God or infinite intelligence, whatever they call, but they're not able to get the practical
Right.
results that they want.
Right.
That's my demographic.
Well, and you know what? They want miracles. And brains, you got to do the work. You got to, as me and Libby did, you got to walk through the fire, baby. Okay? You have to walk through the fire because that's the only way that you're going to appreciate what you are going to receive on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know bad, you wouldn't know good.
That's
If you
right.
didn't know sick, you wouldn't know well. If you didn't know sad, you wouldn't know happy. So you have to go through it. You have to feel the feels. And it's unfortunate. And some people feel them a lot harder than others. But to whom much is given, much is required. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And speaking of feeling the feels, I'm going to have people go to my ebook on feeling the feels. If people will go to transformationalmeditation.org, there's an ebook there called The Positive Purpose of Negative Emotions. And people will find out, yeah, we can't stop having the emotions, like especially the negative ones, but how long we get stuck in there is optional. And that book has a tool that helps you understand and decipher what the message is that this negative emotion is trying to give us, because the negative emotions actually are just messengers. And I'll tell you, they're either trying to tell us we're thinking something incorrect, so stop thinking it, or we need to take correct action. We need to do something. And so there's a long version that people can read about in that ebook.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, have you written other books outside of the ebook?
I have, but one was called Voices of Selves, but I took it off the shelf. I took it out of circulation in like 1996 because I didn't want people to think that they could just read that book and have transformation. It's like, I'll just read it in a book. It's like, no, that's what we call shelf help, right? You put it on the shelf because nothing changes. I will not do my work any other way. And I have 15 coaches that work with me. We will not do anything other than one-to-one, because that's how we know you're going to get your result, because we're right there customizing a program.
What type of person or who are you looking for to work with you as a coach? Because that's a whole different level. People that have graduated and went through your program, or these people that share in your philosophy, are these people that that have come to you, because like us, like magnets,
right?
To people.
Right. I am looking for coaches who've been coaching for a little while. They have their own program and their own methodology that is in alignment. Maybe they have some just different tools. And then they go through my program, because everybody needs to be a product of the product, right? And then I'll do a joint venture and license my material to them so they can add it to what they're already doing. Because some people don't have a high-end program like the 28-day program. And this is just something they don't have to go through all the creation that I did. They can just do it. And the coaches get 90% of that. And the academy just takes 10%. You know why, April?
Why, Libby?
God himself doesn't even take more than 10%.
Did you hear me? Did you hear what she said about the tithe, the 10%? They don't even understand it, and the abundance that comes from that. Just being disciplined. Just being disciplined in everything that you do. And it's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for Libby. We talk a good game, but we fall short of the glory too, brains.
Yep.
But we always have it's not a 3-legged stool. It's a 4-legged stool. We've got to support one another. Get the help that you need. There's nothing wrong with that. All it's going to do is make you a better person. Why do you think so many people like, Tony Robbins and Lisa Nichols and Les Brown and yada, yada? All these people have become successful, by giving all of this jaw jacking and talking. They've lived these experiences. They have lived these experiences, and they're not afraid or ashamed to go further with that. Libby, please tell my brains how to get in contact with you if you are looking for a challenge to up level your game when it comes to coaching. If you're looking for a great ebook, or you want to work with Libby directly, I'm telling you, you can't go wrong.
I'm going to give two ways to get in contact. One is simply the website itself. That's www.academyofselfknowledge.com. That's the website. And then this ebook is transformationalmeditation.org. Transformationalmeditation.org. And I wanted to say this in closing, April. I always have a coach. There's never a time. I think I'd have to say my first professional coach, that program was when I started with Tony in 1989. During that time, I've had coaches after coaches because I always have something else I'm striving for. We don't have to do this alone. And also, if I'm a coach and I don't have a coach, then I'm a hypocrite because I'm saying, you know what, you people, you need your coaching, but I'm all good. I don't have any more growth to do. And I can do it all by myself. It's like, no. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Let me ask you a quick question about coaches and mentors.
Yes.
I like for my clients to outgrow me.
Yes.
I don't want them to be stuck. It's like, I say this with love. Some people go through talk therapy for 15 years. They've lived the trauma for 20 years. They're going through talk therapy for the same thing for 15 years. That's 35 years with no resolution. If I have a coach, yes, I want what they have to be exuding out of their pores. I want to really see some results. Before we close, give me 5 tips that people should look for when finding a coach.
I don't know if there'll be 5. We'll see how this turns out. That's what I'm about extemporaneous speaking. But I'll tell you what number 1 is, and this is a deal breaker. Number 1, that they don't want you to follow them. If somebody is not teaching you to go inside and find your own answers, I have a problem with that. So that's another reason that I have results is because I'm not the one doing the work. I'm just a facilitator. I'm just midwifing the spiritual growth between that person and their maker. So number 1, they have to guide you to find your answers within and not advise you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's number 1, which is the deal breaker. Number 2, they need to be walking the talk and have experience.
Right.
Because, I remember when I started in 1994, and I used the word transformational coaching. That wasn't used. And people would say, oh, Libby, you can't use that because nobody knows what it is. And I said, that's exactly why I'm going to use it, because people say, transformational coaching, what's that? Thanks for asking. But now everybody and their brothers and their dog is a transformational coach.
Right.
So I want people that have experience and that are product of their product and can walk their talk. And I think I'm going to stop with 2. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Well, I'll add a couple.
You add a couple.
Right. Number 3, checks and balances. I need some accountability. I need to know that whatever we go through, that there's going to be some sort of, checks and balances.
Okay.
Number 4.
I'm hopping in with number 4.
Go ahead. So number 4, I'll give you number 5.
Number 4 is whatever it is you're learning, there has to be practical application and applied learning. Information and transformation is going to happen. I say information without application and transformation is impotent. Take us on number 5, April.
And number 5 is, I'm not trying to change you when I'm trying to coach you. I'm trying to enhance you. So if somebody's trying to transform you and turn you into a frog, you got a problem there, brains, because you already know who you are. And when you leave my coaching program, you're still going to be that same quote unquote individual, but with new and enhanced skills. So I want to take the best out of you and help you cultivate that. It's like working in the garden. It's working the soil, taking out the weeds, fertilizing it, put sun on it, water, and it's organic. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what Libby is looking for when we're looking for a coach, right?
Indeed, brains.
So, Brains, thank you so much for joining us here on The Edge. Go back and check out other edgy conversations. We're talking about food, we're talking about love, we're talking about travel, we're talking about friendship, relationships, all kinds of good stuff, and spirituality. Because if your spirit ain't right, you're going to have problems with everything else. Thanks so much, Libby Adams. I love you, darling. Keep me
Thank
posted to
you.
where you are in the world, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you are the best.
Thank you. You're the best.
That's what he said.